In toxic partisanship, left versus right, us versus them. While we pay to keep our politicians fighting, how do we, the people, rise up and solve the great challenges of our time? We do it by embracing freedom and liberty. There may be no such thing as a free lunch, but this hour is as close as it gets. Welcome to A Free Solution.
All right, welcome everyone to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate y'all joining us. We're live on WYSL until 1 p.m. on this lovely Friday. Give us a call, 585-346-3000. That's 585-346-3000. Or if you're out of the area, 866-552-1009. Shout down the line to our friends listening over at WACK out in New York, and our friends listening online to the Kevin Wilson Facebook page, Kevin Wilson Twitter feed, the Free Solution YouTube page, and the Free Solution Facebook page. Wherever you're listening today, appreciate y'all being here. I would appreciate any comments today. Unfortunately, Tim is tied up at work. I know he's hoping to be able to call in later during the show, but I'm solo on this Friday. We're just going to make it mighty hard to do Fake News Friday. I can't fool myself. There's no fun in that. But leave your comments on any news stories. If there's something that I and Larry have missed and Tim have missed this week, would love to talk about it. I know, Tim, you're listening. Appreciate you at least listening to the show, bud. But you got to call in, man. No, I get it. So anyway, a couple topics on the horizon for us too. We have some things going on with the vaccine mandate. Now, we've talked about this on the show, the national vaccine mandate, not the state vaccine mandate, but the one coming out of the Biden administration, the one coming out of OSHA. Until this point, there hasn't actually been a regulation announced. Like, you know, I looked at the White House executive order, and basically what it had said is we will tell OSHA to issue this regulation. But until this point, it was going to happen. But until this point, it hadn't actually been released, and there wasn't an agency enforcing this yet. But now it's finally happened. It took a couple months to happen, but they did release their vaccine mandate for employers with 100 or more employees to be vaccinated against COVID, or they have to adopt a policy requiring unvaccinated employees to wear face masks and submit to weekly virus testing. So it's a vaccine mandate in a sense, but also you can kind of test out of it, right? But the part where this gets tricky, and the part where I'm sure many in the audience are concerned about this, many of you who are operating businesses, some of whom, may be operating businesses who are quite large and it would fall into this rule. But if you're operating a smaller business too, and you're looking at, what happens to you under state rules and other rules, how is this going to be enforced? Is this arbitrary? Is this constitutional? And I mean, to the constitutionality question, again, we did most of a show on this, but yeah, it doesn't seem like this is something that ought to be legal. This does not seem like a legal constitutional mandate. We even had former Congressman Justin Amash, one of the few libertarians who was in Congress for a while, but now he's no longer in Congress, said you don't have to comply with unconstitutional mandates. And he's hardly a radical on this stuff. He's, definitely pretty libertarian, but he's not a radical on the vaccine issues. But he correctly recognizes like when something ought to not be done by the federal government. And in this case, I don't see how the executive branch has the authority to do this. OSHA also, interestingly enough, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration also has kind of a poor track record of doing this stuff. They've tried doing things like this before. They issue these emergency declarations where they overstep their bounds. They've been sued before, and they've lost frequently in these things. And in this case, what they're trying to say is that because COVID poses a, quote, grave danger to employees immediate action is necessary to protect them. Of course, that immediate action came several months after uh, after the White House issued an executive order telling them to do this. But that's immediate by government standards, right? And they have to say that sort of thing to be able to justify it in as an emergency order, right? And this is something to address a grave danger. And again, I don't want to dismiss the actual legitimate danger that COVID poses to many people, but you do have to wonder, like, why does the federal government need to go in and say this is a grave danger to everybody, only include some companies with over 100 workers, and then allow people to test out or wear masks? It's the logic of the whole thing does not hold up well. It doesn't make sense to have these sets of requirements for a disease that there are mechanisms for people to be able to voluntarily protect themselves. As is, like, again, is this a problem that needs to be solved by government? There are existing organizations, existing companies that are already doing this. We had Bob Confer on the show earlier this year, and way back when the pandemic started in 2020. His company is apparently already doing this. Many of this stuff they've already been doing testing. They're not doing vaccine mandates, but I saw a tweet from him this morning. And there's many other companies who are doing the same thing. Now, I know there are a few companies who are like, yes, the mandate's good. It's it's a good thing. We need to protect our employees. Most of those companies were just too cowardly to implement their own vaccine mandates, and they're like, oh, gosh, our hands are tied now. We darn government, we got to do this, instead of just having the guts to just say, yeah, we think this is a good idea. We think, in order to protect our employees or to protect our customers, we need to implement a vaccine mandate or have testing, whatever. Instead of just doing that, instead of having the guts to do that, and instead of allowing the freedom for companies to be able to make their own trade-offs here, the federal government has to go in and make this arbitrary rule and limit it to companies of over 100 employees for whatever reason. They did end up making exemptions for employees that work from home, which is good. I was like half expecting them not to, just because government, but if you work from home or if you work outside, you apparently do not have to get the vaccine. You don't apply. It doesn't apply in this situation. But I said the same thing about the New York State like healthcare worker rules, right? Again, if individual hospitals want to make this rule, they ought to be able to. And they shouldn't be able to run for cover under, well, we got to just do what the state says. Darn. They should be able to make their own trade-offs and have the guts to back up their decision. If it's a good decision, if these companies want to do that, and many of them I think do, then they should just do it and have the fortitude to be able to explain to their employees why they're doing it, why it's best for them, why it's best for their customers, whatever, and why it's so important to be done that you can no longer work there if you don't have a vaccine. They can't run for cover under the government, which is half of why this is in place. No, you should just have to stand by it and live with the consequences. And you could be mad at that company too. Like, again, that's part of the freedom of association thing. If you don't like that a company is doing this and they are making their own decision to do this thing, again, whether it's airlines or a manufacturing facility or whatever, then it is our choice to be able to not buy that product or not work there or not support them, whatever. And Taylor says, I don't think it'll hold up in court. I'll be leaving for Texas if this holds up. Planning for the move now. Taylor says that. Yeah, again, with the OSHA thing, I don't think it's going to hold up either. I think this is totally going to collapse for reasons that we've talked about before. Like there's limited constitutional authority to do this. It's arbitrary. They make a ton of exceptions. And this is something that if it's going to come, like, I think if you were going to do this sort of thing, it would need to be in state law. Not commenting on whether it's a good or bad idea. I just think legally, if you're going to do this, make the legislatures actually back it up and give reasons for it. Again, I could see the case for doing it for healthcare, not necessarily agree with it, but you could build a case for that. Okay, it's still a bad idea. You should still let them make their own trade-offs on their own for the reasons we've outlined before. But think that would be the most constitutional way to do things. Again, we got a presidential sweeping regulation, the type of thing that, we've seen across both parties. We saw this stuff in the Trump administration. We saw in the Obama administration, the Bush administration, before that, the growth of executive orders to accomplish huge policy goals by getting around the legislative process or getting around the process through which states are and local governments and businesses and individuals get to make decisions about their own communities. Instead, again, it's all coming down to expansive executive authority. It's a dangerous thing we're doing. Again, less and less pretense about the legality of this stuff too. The Biden administration doesn't even pretend that the stuff they're doing was illegal. They know it's going to get challenged in courts, but they think that they'll get away with it long enough to accomplish their policy goal. They did the same thing with the rent. I said, Taylor, I don't think they care if it's going to get challenged in court. They think that enough people will probably get vaccinated because of this in the meantime, that it'll be worth it. That's what I expect. We did this with the rent thing with the CDC. We're doing it now with the OSHA vaccine mandate. It's a very, very dangerous way to have government operate, and it's going to come back to bite the Democrats too, because the Republicans are going to figure this out and do the same thing. All right, thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. Appreciate your comments, folks. But you can also call in 585-346-3000. That's 585-346-3000. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Inside the Taylor Laboratories.
Hey, Tony, what you doing?
A little experiment, Zach. Look what I have under the microscope.
Ugh, what's that?
A sample of indoor air.
How can it be that dirty? Don't AC and furnace filters help?
Only with dust, Zach. But when Taylor installs a whole house APCO air purifier to detox the air, odors, chemicals, mold, bacteria, and viruses are removed.
For clean indoor air.
Yep. Ain't science awesome?
Taylor, 500 help.
A message from the National Police Association. It used to be that any able-bodied person would offer to assist a police officer in danger. Now, passers-by are more likely to take a video. There's a better use for your phone when an officer's in trouble. Call 911. Tell the operator where you are and what you see. Then, start your video to provide evidence later. To learn more about how you can assist law enforcement, visit nationalpolice.org. That's nationalpolice.org.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
A free solution.
Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, host for today. Thanks again for joining us. here on WYSL, later on WACK Newark, and on the online streams. And it sounds like we have a caller on the line too. Taylor from Rochester is on the line. We're talking about the OSHA vaccine mandates today. But Taylor, what's up?
Yeah. Hey, how's it going?
Good. What's on your mind?
Good. Well, sorry if it's a little loud here. I'm actually pulling over. But yeah, I was talking to I'm part of a union in Rochester. I was talking to the president. He actually made it sound like the union's not going to do anything about it. Kind of surprising. You got a lot of the rank and file people who don't want to go through with the law.
Yeah, I'm curious about that too, and I haven't been able to like kind of get clear answers on this because like I know just anecdotally some union folks are like, well, this is the thing that protects all the workers even if they're not saying so. But like if a union is advocating for the rights of their employees and their employees say they want to exercise the autonomy to not get vaccinated, like where do those rights come into play, and are there any unions out there advocating for the rights of their workers who aren't willing to comply with the vaccine mandate? And so Taylor, do you have any other insights into that? And so you're just kind of unsure at this point?
As far as I can tell, I talked to the president of our local. He said that our national doesn't seem like it's fight is pretty much going to go along with it. It's unfortunate because I told him, and I'm sure others have told him that we're going to leave, and that's why I said I was going to Texas. Hopefully they'll fight it over there, and I'm hoping, like, I don't want to leave within 2 months. It's a really fast time period, but I'm hoping that, like I said, it gets challenged in court and stuff.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It seems like from what I'm reading, like it's definitely going to get challenged right away. Several state governors and attorneys general are challenging it. I know some employers are probably going to do that. But Taylor, appreciate the call. That's a really interesting conversation to have. And again, if you're in a union and this is something on your mind, give us a call, 585-346-3000. It's 585-346-3000. And we have another call on the line too. Gary from Hilton. Gary.
Hey, Kevin. How are you?
Good. What's up, Gary?
I've been looking around a little bit. I don't know if you listen to Glenn Beck at all, but he's been telling us about this ESG rating system. Are you familiar with that at all?
I don't know about that. It's terrible. Glenn Beck's on right before me, and I usually catch like the last 20 minutes of his show most days.
Okay. Well, it's basically what it is. It's like a rating system, like a credit rating, but it's something that's being forced on the companies throughout the world, I guess. It's coming out of the World Economic Forum originally. And it stands for environmental, social, and governance. And it rates businesses right now. They're going to push it down to individuals if they can push it through. But right now they're rating them on their environmental consciousness, like where they buy stuff, their supply chain, if it's a green supply chain, their social, whether they go with diversity and inclusiveness, and they have all these, like the CRT training that a lot of big companies are doing. So that's what's happening with all this. It's being forced in right now. John Kerry and Bill Gates and a few other people. There's 20 companies that all signed some kind of a pact yesterday at that COP26.
Yeah. I heard something. I'd only caught part of a story in this, so I don't want to dive into it. But
I'm
what
not
I
going to
heard
go way
was
into it. I don't want to go way into it. I'm just going to refer you to the World Economic Forum website because they've got tons of information there. It's right out in the open now. But anyway, that's what this vaccine mandate's all about, and using OSHA. It's the government's going to use businesses to force things down our throat that we would not allow normally because it would be unconstitutional. But because of this rating system, in order to do business, you're going to have to comply. And they forced it into the military. They're forcing it into, they're forcing it everywhere. And I don't know exactly how it all came about that these big multi-billionaires got together and decided that was the way they were going to run the world. But it's here right now. They're doing it. And this is one of their first, I don't know if it's an experiment or if it's a test case to see if they can make it happen. But this is ridiculous that, you know, they're going to throw the social fabric, right, tear it up and throw it out if they get rid of the ambulance people and the hospital workers and the cops and the garbage workers, all the union guys that, you know, that holds everything together and makes this system work. And that's who they're attacking. And they're attacking their livelihoods and forcing what is, whatever they say, it's still an experimental vaccine, and it's not really a vaccine. At least two of them aren't. They're mRNA, which is a completely different system.
Oh, sure. Well, Gary, like, hold on before, because I mean we're starting to stray from the subject, and you know I won't get into all that stuff. But but what you said coming out of the COP15 thing, so like just what I understood out of that, right, is that all these countries, many of whom like make investments on their own, like governments make investments, they're gonna like create a scoring system of sorts, because I'd heard kind of vaguely about that from half a story I listened to, and they're gonna score on like their environmental impact, you know, social justice goals, all these other things, and so these governments will no longer buy
government regulation.
Exactly,
that's the G part of it, and it's
doing
it right now.
Yeah, and there's several other things with it too, and it's they want to use like, you know, central banks like the Fed to start to shape policy and impact on the environmental level. They want to use these you know, financial systems at the government level to achieve their environmental goals.
Well, they just nominated that communist woman that has been in the news a little bit. If you check the right sources, she's a stone cold communist. Educated in Moscow, thinks that they've got a great banking system. It should be all centrally run. And she's been nominated to run one of the major, I don't know if it's the FDIC or what, but something far up in the government. There's so much information coming right now. Somebody said it was like trying to drink out of a fire hose, and that's the way it is. But that's because they're forcing it through. They got to scare their life the other night with that election. And it's like full speed ahead to make this socialist transformation happen.
Yeah, but Biden was talking about how frustrated he was that they didn't vote on his Build Back Better bill before the election, because now all the momentum kind of sucked out of their movement. They wanted to get it through, and now it's kind of derailed, and people are like, "Oh shoot, maybe we're taking things too far," and their political, you know, positions are being threatened. So they're trying to walk it back.
That's why they're in a panic, and they're actually denying it. They're blaming it on racism and Trump.
Oh yeah, you know, like especially like the Virginia stuff. They're like, oh yeah, it's all race anxiety. But no, people are mad about like what McAuliffe said about schools and about like how much control parents have over their education, and a bunch of other dumb stuff that Democrats are doing. And so
they are a wounded animal backed into a corner. So beware.
Yeah, no, we're going to see a lot more wild ad hominem attacks coming out of the Democrats in the next year. It's going to be a rough time. And again, I'm glad you brought up the like the new kind of push to rate companies based on environment. I was going to actually talk about that in the second half of the show. So like it's a perfect segue for that type of stuff.
Sorry to steal the thunder, but I've been looking into it this morning when I should be doing other things. And it's just fascinating how much information is there on that World Economic website. And that's right out in the open. And they're actually, they signed paperwork yesterday. They're doing it. They basically signed over the sovereignty of our country by John Kerry. And I don't know if people it's not on the news, obviously, because they're not going to go anywhere near it. But
all right. Well, hey, we got to head to a break, but thank you so much for a phone call. And again, it's a good segue to it. I know I appreciate you calling in and bringing it up. This is a good segue into what I want to talk about for the rest of the show. So thank you, sir. And if you, other listeners out there, want to call in, give us a call, 585-346-3000. That's 585-346-3000. We'll be back in just a few minutes on A Free Solution.
Fly the flag, stand for freedom. AM 1040 Avon Rochester, FM 92.1 Rochester, and FM 95.5 Spencerport.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center for tonight. Should be looking at mainly clear skies. Still a little frosty cold out there. We'll drop down to the upper 20s and low 30s. On Saturday, should be some beautiful weather to start the weekend. Good amount of sunshine. Temps will bounce back into the low 50s, and we're looking at a great day on Sunday. Don't forget, we fall back, change those clocks. Sunday afternoon back into the mid-50s with sunshine. I'm Rich Cadelia, WYSL.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
FM Talk. What's with those injury attorney TV ads these days? Seems like they're in a race to see who can put more lawyer faces on the screen. Even with an 80-inch TV, you can't make them out. What's the point? Maybe they're trying to impress with who's biggest, but it ends up looking like an undergrad photo in your school yearbook, or maybe a dating site from hell. Of course, the one attorney that matters to you is the one who's helping you put your life back together after a personal injury or a motorcycle accident, or handling your DWI defense. Christopher Johnson makes you feel like you're his only client because when you meet with him, your case gets 100% of his attention. Write this number down. Keep it in your car. 415-3803. 415-3803. At this number, instead of getting lost in the crowd, you'll get individual attention, integrity, experience, and expertise. Write it down. 415-3803. Put the power of one on your legal team. Stay safe, be healthy, drive sober. Christopher Johnson, attorney. Personal injury, car or motorcycle accidents, DWI defense.
Eyes in Rochester is a full-service ophthalmology office, and we specialize in general ophthalmology, taking care of people from childhood to adult and seniors. We do general eye exams. We specialize in cataract surgery, corneal surgery, and disease, as well as LASIK surgery. We also have a full-service optical shop and contact lens fitting service.
Visit Eyes on Rochester at 1157 Fairport Road.
What does it mean to bank locally with Tompkins? It means keeping your money in your community with a team of neighbors to guide you through big decisions and milestones, plus all the
ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovation should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A-plus Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
A free solution.
Hey, welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today. Thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution, WYSL. Shout out online to our friends over at WACK out in New York too, and our friends listening online where we have audio back. Sorry for the delay there. Yeah, if we ever lose audio on the live show, you can always go to WYSL1040.com, post the link in the comments there. You can listen to the show there too. Usually there's just several streaming options that'll be up. Tim, you still on the line with us?
Yeah, man, I hung on. Now, are you saying that the online folks missed my vaccine inspector rant?
They totally did, man. That's
man.
what it is.
That's okay, guys. Then you got to go to the podcast on WACK
right.
and WYSL and check it out, because I think it was, I want to say it was pure comic genius, or a little bit of terrorism coming to America in the form of even more government. I'm not sure which.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we're going to see a lot, and you know, so some of these things that are coming out, like the rating system for the companies, like they sort of have, you know, a semblance of something that makes sense, but would government start using these to you know, do social engineering and environmental policy, it starts to become a lot more concerning, and especially concerning, as Gary hinted at, if they're doing social rating systems like they do in China for individuals, where, you know, if you are rude to the government, or the government just doesn't like you for any other reason, not only doesn't it like affect your ability to like conduct business, you know, get loans, things like that, you might not even be able to leave your province. You can't buy a train ticket, can't buy a plane ticket, you can't get a car. Like you may be completely limited.
I'm sorry to interrupt, bud.
Did
you ever watch that Netflix Black Mirror stuff? They give a pretty good rundown of how the social credit system is going to work. And like, so a lady in the show has a bad day and her social credit rating goes from like 5.1 down to like 2, and before you know it, she's like living on the streets, man. It was brutal. And I just see that that's how it's going to kind of operate. You know what I mean?
Oh no, I think I remember that episode. It's been a while since I watched Black Mirror, but like, yeah, I mean, this is something that's like a reality in China right now. Like, it's if you criticize the state, if you do something that embarrasses them, makes them look bad, you know, they track everything. They track your every interaction over there. They have the complete panopticon that we worry about in the United States, that we worry about to our government building, and they've implemented it. They use it and they punish the people who are, you know, causing trouble for the government.
Libertarians.
Yeah,
libertarians. That's who they punish. People that don't want more government control.
Yeah. So, and unfortunately, you know, the good people of Hong Kong, who, you know, have been kind of subject to a tightening grip from the Beijing government, are living that reality now, and that's unfortunate. And we don't want that to come here. And so, like, any attempt to do that, even through like private means at first, like, I would be worried, like, as soon as that starts to happen, as soon as people start getting like social credit scores in that sort of way, even if it's a private company doing that stuff, I don't want any part of that, because it's too easily co-opted by the state. And we do see that with you know, the ESG score too. We can see how government can use that to dictate investment policy, which in some cases is billions and billions of dollars, and punish people who aren't willing to comply with government direction. And we're seeing something similar too, like on the world level too, something that's coming out of you know, kind of recent world economic conferences, is a global tax rate, right? They're trying to set like a minimum, like 15% global tax. And they do this because, of course, there's many countries who are like, hey, we're happy to take a whole bunch of your investments, and we're not going to tax you. Just invest your money here. And including, some high poverty countries. Go ahead.
Yeah, everything is fine, Kevin. I think what happens is we get like distrusting of our benevolent overlords. And again, if we just trust them and our benevolent overlord gets elected, everything's going to be fine. They won't use shiny new tools like the social credit rating system to punish anyone. It's just going to be to enhance quality of life. And so that's what they're going to do. I trust them. I welcome our new social credit overlords, bud.
I, for one, welcome our new. Remind me that Simpsons line.
Our new social credit overlords. Hey, Kevin, I do have to kind of hit the road here, but I want, if you don't mind, can I let everybody know what's going on this weekend? We got a couple big things going on for the Empire State Freedom Summit in Syracuse, New York. It's going to be a good time. Are you able to make it down, or is the wife and the family and the new baby kind of going to keep you home?
I am not. Yeah, for that reason, unfortunately, I'm not able to make it. But tell us. I'll allow it, Tim. I'll allow it. You tell us what's going on.
All right. So in Syracuse this weekend at the Collegian Hotel, we are going to be lighting up freedom for New York State. We've got Larry Sharp. We've got Scott Horton. We've got Scott Cohen. We've got Thomas Daniel Queter. We have so many speakers. We have a couple of big, huge, like Family Feud event planned, and then we have a fundraiser benefit planned. I just think it's going to be a great time. It's going to be a great weekend away from my responsibilities. My wife actually enjoys going to these things. Kevin, you got that to look forward to, right? Maybe sometime they start getting back into wanting to do these social activities. So my wife has a great time. We've made some great friends in the past, and I'm really looking forward to heading up there shortly. I got to bounce out of work, and then I got to get to Syracuse, so that part of it's a drag, but whatever. It's going to be a blast.
Yeah, I know. It sounds like a fun time. Sounds like a good way to go out and meet other libertarians face to face and generate ideas, and I'm sure think of plans for activism and elections and all sorts of other stuff that can further the liberty movement in New York.
So I just want to point out that there is no libertarian passport officially. Like, if you're not an official libertarian, you could still attend the Empire State Freedom Summit and meet these spectacular individuals, these rising stars of freedom and liberty. Like, again, we share a platform with Larry Sharp, which we're honored to do. Spike Cohen has not stopped campaigning for his run. And I'm telling you that is exactly what the Libertarian Party needs, is people out there in the limelight making noise every day. And Spike does every single day. Not only that, he's coming to Oneonta, New York, little Oneonta, New York, to support our friend, Thomas Daniel Queter, on Tuesday, November 9th. So a couple of days later, after the Syracuse gig, he's going to be down in Oneonta hanging out and talking to, we've got a couple colleges, so we're hoping to get some college kids there. We're hoping it's going to be a big event, rewarding for the owner of the Southside Grill, who graciously offered us his venue, and for Spike and for Tom. Like, we're going to do a little fundraiser for Tom's Senate campaign. I think this is going to be some good stuff.
Awesome. Well, Tim, thank you so much for sharing all that with me and the listeners. All right. Again, thanks for joining, Tim. And all right, that's it. That's the show. Thanks for joining us on A Free Solution, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend.
For unbeatable deals and best selections,